So today we've got some pineapples and some blueberries to can. These were from our bushes. We got 3-year-old bushes, the ones that we planted on the hillside over there. So they are already producing, which is really exciting. The kids sneak most of ours and snack on when we're outside, so I've had to take a couple days and say, please don't eat any, because I'd like to have some extra to can. But we've got those all together. We've washed these, make sure they don't have any stems or anything like that in them. We cubed our pineapple. We do small chunks, about 1/2 inch absolute tops for us. You can do them in wedges and other sizes, but we're doing this mostly on our pizzas. That's where we use them the most. So I like them in small pieces for that. I have splashed this pineapple with a little bit of lemon juice, literally like 2 tablespoons in there, just to help make sure it doesn't brown or have any coloring while I'm doing all this. You don't have to do that, but I do find it helps with the color of the fruit. I've also saved all the pineapple cores. So as I cut this up, I set those aside so that I can use them in our syrup. I'll be doing these in a light syrup. Berries and pineapples and most of your fruits, you can raw pack or hot pack these. I opt to raw pack them. So what I've done is I've already got my sterilized jars here. I've checked the rims for cracks or chips or anything like that. At this point, it's almost second nature, so I forget to mention it sometimes in my videos. But anytime you pick up a jar, just make a habit of running your finger across the top to see if there's any cracks or chips or anything that would, prevent the seal from forming there. And from here, all we've got to do is pack our fruits into our jars. So I'm going to do some with just plain pineapple and then the rest of them with a mix of pineapple and blueberry. You can mix most of your fruits together. If you're doing a mix of them though, you'll want to make sure that you're processing it at whichever one has the longest time. So both of these actually have the same processing times, so that's perfectly fine to mix them together. The light syrup that we're going to be doing, it is what they consider a light syrup, meaning that it doesn't have as much sugar in it. The more sugar it has, the heavier the syrup is. Seeing as most of this will be used in our pizzas and that we'll be eating plain, I don't really want it in a really syrupy mixture. So I've got the water getting to a boil for us. I'm going to go ahead and pack these. We're going to leave a 1/2 inch headspace for them, so we're not going to fill it all the way to the top, and I'll show you what that looks like once we get them packed. So we're going to go ahead and pack these. I'm not doing all of any of them. I've got some plain pineapple left, but these are some of our favorite fruits, especially for the kids. So I like to do a little bit of a mix of them. Now the blueberries will probably change the pineapple's colors, and that's okay. At least for us it is. And you want to make sure your fruit doesn't go above that 1/2 inch mark. That's I'll be using reusable lids, so I'll be doing 3/4 inch headspace. But if you're doing the metal flats, you'll want to make sure it doesn't go over that amount of space. That way you can make sure it stays covered in syrup. And I don't crush these down or pack them real tight like you would do for, say, some of our green beans and those type things. I just let them loosely sit in the jar. Alright, so we've got all of our jars packed here with the pineapples and blueberries and one with just plain pineapples. So from here we need to finish getting our syrup going. And all we need for that is water and sugar. So over here at the stove, we've got 10.5 cups of water coming to a boil. We're going to add 1 1/4 cups of sugar to that. We've got our lids warming up. And we've got a thing of hot water up here. So this is, we don't want it extremely hot so I don't have this burner on. And I'll be using this pressure canner as a water bath canner today. So for my pints, they will fit nicely down in here, and we're just going to be water bath canning in this. So now that we've got our water up to almost a boil, I'm going to go ahead and add the 1 1/4 cups of sugar and get that nice and dissolved in there. I'm also going to throw in our pineapple cores here. And again, that's just to give it extra pineapple flavor. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But if you're canning pineapple, I would highly recommend it because it does add some extra flavor to it. We've let our syrup come to a boil, and I've cut it off and removed the pineapple cores. So at this point, it is time to start filling our jars. If you're using metal lids, you're going to want to leave 1/2 inch headspace. If you're using the reusable lids like I am, we're going to leave 3/4 inch headspace. And you will want to make sure that you got any bubbles, any air pockets or air bubbles out. You see spots like this is what we consider an air pocket. It's a little spot where air is still trapped. You're going to want to shake your fruit around and try to get that out. If you can't get it out by shaking it, you'll want to get either like I use these silicone spatulas for it. You don't want to use metal though, and you can just come in and help get that air bubble out. And you'll do that to all your jars. I found personally with the blueberries, it doesn't really cause any problems. Like they don't form many air pockets, but with the pineapple it does. So make sure you remove those before you process these. All right, so we're getting the last of our lids on. And just like last time, we're not tightening these down extraordinarily tight. You just place the lid on there, hold it down, make sure you got it centered, hold it down with 2 fingers, and then twist until the jar starts to spin. Now for these, they're going to be water bathed. So I've placed them in the canner here. I'll show you what they look like. We're going to add a little bit more water. One of the nice things about having your hot water for your lids is if you ever need to, you can always use some of that water to add to your canner, so you've got the solid 1.5 to 2 inches there. Now this is not really hot water because our jars were raw packed. We don't want to place it into extraordinarily hot water. This is just hot water straight from the tap. Of course that varies depending on how hot you've got your water heater set. But from here, we can go ahead and cut it on. And as this whole thing comes up to a boil, we don't need to worry about the jars going into shock or anything like that. So we're gonna get this going to a rolling boil. Until you get it to a rolling boil, you don't start your time. For our elevation, we're in the 1,000 to 3,000 foot elevation. So we're gonna be processing pints for 20 minutes. If I was doing quarts, it would be 25 minutes. It's really important for canning to know your elevation because it does vary for your processing times. We process these for 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes is up, you let them cool off in the water for about 10 minutes, and then you'll take them out. If you're using the reusable lids, like I did, you're gonna let them cool for about a minute or 2, and then tighten the lids down. At this point, we just need to let them cool off. We're gonna cover them, and in the morning we can check the seals. 9 out of 10 of the eggs here have pipped. That's this little bitty spot right here. It's the first sign that an egg's getting ready to hatch. They make that little crack, and then they'll slowly make about a circle around it of other cracks, and before you know it, they'll be coming out. As you can see, they've been wobbling their eggs a lot.